Hey, Future Josh here again. So this is another video that the audio wasn't quite up to snuff. But so this is our custom built trailer that we just put the subfloor down onto. And if we take a look inside of the floor of the trailer, we added some wooden floor joists so that we could screw the floor directly to those instead of having it all steel, and that just helps with weight. And to put in those joists, we used joist hangers and we used Torx self-tapping metal screws to secure those into the trailer. But the trailer itself is 28 feet long by 8.5 feet wide. 8.5 feet wide is the max width you can have without needing a permit to transport it. And we felt like 28 feet was pretty reasonable in terms of length, just for maneuverability. Now, the height of the finished tiny house is going to be 13.5 feet, which is the maximum you can have without having to worry about power lines or overpasses or that sort of thing on the highway. And we did a drop, I'm blanking on the terminology. So basically the deck of the trailer is lower than what a normal trailer would be, and that will just give us extra room inside the finished tiny house. And we are going to need that because we are planning on having lofts on either side of the tiny house, and without that floor being lower, there's not going to be any room up there. As far as weight goes for the finished tiny house, we kind of had to figure out what we wanted that to be before we had the trailer built, because the weight limit on the axles was a consideration. So after doing a bunch of calculations, we figured it was probably going to end up being about 11,000 pounds max, with furniture, appliances, all that kind of thing. And so we went with two 7,000-pound axles. Now, of course, if you wanted a little more peace of mind, you could go with 3 axles. And that way, if you have a blowout, it's not as big of a deal. These are pretty heavy-duty tires, so I wasn't too concerned about it, but it's just something to keep in mind. As for the insulation in the floor, we went with solid foam insulation, just because if water did get in there, we wouldn't want that soaking into like fiberglass insulation. We did think about spray foam, but there's a few more chemicals involved in that, which we didn't feel great about, possibly off-gassing, that sort of thing. I think we did end up using spray foam to kind of seal the edges around the sheet foam, but that was about it. As for underneath the trailer, we ended up getting like an aluminum sheathing, like rolls of aluminum, and we sealed up everything underneath with that. And we actually don't have any pipes or wires going through the base there, going through the floor, because we didn't want to start punching a bunch of holes in the frame of the trailer. We wanted to keep this thing as sturdy as possible. So again, if you have any questions about our build, be sure to leave them in the comments below. We'd be happy to answer them, and I'll see you in the next video.